Hello everybody on YouTube. I'm back again with another Sony Vegas tutorial. I've explained a lot in Sony Vegas and showed you how to do the motion blur. I showed you how to do flickering. I showed you how to do track motion. I showed you how to follow your video to the beat of a song. And I did a little bit on coloring and stuff like that, but I'm going to do like more of a better information on coloring. And I'm going to work with texture a little bit, show you how to make your videos look a little fancy and what you can do with that and stuff. And I'm going to just get right into Sony Vegas. Okay. And I'm going to show you what I did in this video so far. Okay, I'm going to get back right in here. Shift B. Pretty much what I did on this video is, so far I've done an effect where at the beginning here it seems like the video is all jacked up and everything, like right in here. Like, let's see where it ends at. It ends at right around in here. And what I did is I went right in here with this clip right here, which is this. I'll show you. It's this little sparkle effect right in here that I put on here, and I changed the compositing mode and I went to custom, and then I just played around with this and I added different times how I wanted it to happen. Like here, well, it's dark right there, so I'm gonna mess around with it a little bit again. And right here I added, well, what I added first was on it, because what I did was I added a transition right here, which is this transition. Went to video transitions, Spice Master, and I did the animated pipe, and that's in the Spice Master, which doesn't come with Sony Vegas. You have to mess around with the different ones that you have if you don't have the Spice Master, because it doesn't come with Sony Vegas. But it's a transition that I used, and I messed around with it a little bit and gave it a little bit of a kind of like a, what we'd say, a morphing effect a little bit, or a liquid effect right there. It's a transition. Then with the custom, I just messed around with the custom on the clip I was using, and I just played around with the scale, and I played around with the axis, inverting it, uninverting it at each point. Around with that a little bit, and I'll just go to right here where it happens. Show you. And it kind of makes the video look like it's all jacked up, but it actually isn't. Like as if the clip got knocked out or something and it's not running properly. It actually isn't. I made it do that on purpose with the effect that I was messing around with the custom compositing mode. And now I'm gonna, then I'll get rid of it to show you that I actually did it. Let's cut this out. Cut this out. So that I can show you that it's actually not messed up. Okay, I'll delete the track. Then I'll go back to here. See? It's actually not messed up at all. The clip is fine and everything. It's just what I did to the clip and everything with the custom compositing mode with the sparkle effect that I had. That's pretty much. So you may like it, you may not. It depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to do something different, I'm just messing around a little bit, showing you a little trick that I just did with the custom compositing mode, where you can mess around with it a little bit. And for the texture, I'm going to show you how I did that here in a second. I mean, not with the texture that I had on here with the custom, with the texture that I did. Let's see. I added an overlay to it, and it's this texture right here that I used. And then I played around with the track effect, that whatever you want on the track, make sure you just do the track effect so that it'll happen to whatever you throw on into the whatever track you're working with. And I added a color balance to it. I played around with the colors a little bit, messed around with that. I added a bump map, messed around with that too. Playing around with it a little bit. The less you do it, the more see the changes that I did. Messing around with it a little bit. Seeing how you want it to look. How you want the texture to come in. And I sharpened the texture. I sharpened it. Make it come in a lot nicer. And I brightened the contrast a little bit. Because of the overlay, it made it a little darker. And then I added a border onto this one, and then I just lowered the occupancy of the video. I just lowered it so that only the border shows, because if I did it on this one, then the border would come in like faded a little bit. Like I'll block this and show you. See, this is the border from the actual texture, and you can't really see it too well, so I just added my own the border plugin that came with Sony Vegas, and I put that on top. And all I did was just lower the occupancy of the texture so that only the texture part that I did on this shows, and only the border shows on this. And then what I did pretty much is everything else I did is just the color of the actual video right here. It's the color of this video track right here. All I did was I just added levels to it to make it a little more brighter a little bit, and I added a granite map. And to change the colors, you can choose different ones. You could do we'll go to the video effects and I can tell you which ones that will help you to get different colors. You mess around with the color balance and it'll give you different colors. Play around with that. You can play around with the color corrector. You can add them all together in here and mix them around, and it'll give you different colors. You play around with those. You can do color corrector secondary if you have Sony Vegas Pro, and it'll let you mess around with colors differently there. Usually I don't really use color corrector secondary because I don't really think that I don't really like that the way it changes the colors that much. It doesn't really do what I'm looking for. So mostly what I do is color corrector, color balance, and granite map. I do that for changing colors, and sometimes I'll put like granite map and color balance together and then mess around with the colors that way, or I'll just put like color balance and then color corrector together, or if I can, sometimes I'll get a good color depending on what I'm doing with the textures and everything and the video color. And so what I have for the video colors, I usually change the color on the grid. If I have granite map, I usually change the middle color, which is number 1, and I usually just change that a little bit. I leave 0 black, and I'll mess around with how much I want the black to show. If I want a little bit black or whatever. Right on the white, on the red, I have a little bit of red showing. It's kind of like reddish orange a little bit, because you can see where it's placed here a little bit. It's in between the red and the orange, it's a little bit. And then I have this on white because I usually have number 2 on white, so that comes in just what you see here. And that's what I did. And that's pretty much how I did the video for the textures and everything. And I'll add another texture to mess around with it a little bit. I'll just cut this texture out. Okay. And I'll leave that texture that I have here because all it is, I just blocked it out and just kept the border on it. And I'll just go back to my project media, play around with this texture a little bit, and show you what you could do with just another texture, what you could do with it, and see the changes. And to get anything to the size of the project, because as you can see, it's not to the actual size because the texture's a little short. So you're going to go to switches, uncheck maintain aspect ratio, okay, and then you can play around with the composition mode. This texture might not come in too well because it might be too much of a drastic texture and you might not want it. Mess around with multiple, mess around with the screen. No, and then it's the track effect that I have on here, everything. So I'm gonna have to get rid of all of them just for this texture. I leave the sharpen there. If you leave the sharpen, it might come in a lot nicer and a lot smoother, brighter, whatever. Okay, you just mess around with the different on each texture that you want to put on here. And to get really nice textures, search in Google for something like textures. You can do try doing grunge textures. Those ones are really helpful. If you type in Google, search for grunge textures. What I did was I just typed in textures and I just came across this one, this pattern texture, and I'll put a link in the description to get this texture if you want this. And then I have another texture that I have here, which is fire. Kind of looks like fire a little bit. Again, I'm gonna have to go to switches, uncheck maintain aspect ratio. Then what I'm gonna have to do is mess around with the overlay, or the, I'd say, screen the texture, or lighten the texture. Like this texture, I don't think it really does anything. I'm gonna go to one of my better ones that I have, and I'll grab it on in here. I'll import it. Okay, go to media, and then I'll go to, the last time I really used a lot of these textures was mostly in Sony Vegas, but since I've been using Final Cut, I've used some of these in there a little bit. Might use this. I don't know if that one will come in too well either. And sorry about that. My video. So I'll just, like this texture, I'll drag this on in here and everything. And this texture, I don't know. And again, I'll lighten this a little bit. It's already lightened. It depends, because some textures do drastic changes. Like this, it's kind of hard to find the right texture to make your video look nice. Like this is a grunge, but this one, I think it's too bright or something on it. So I'll just go back to this. I'll go to switches. Let's see. Let's see. Try adding another. It takes time adding textures. Let's go back to adding another one. Let's see. It's kind of hard because Sony Vegas and Final Cut are so different that's why it's kind of hard for me to like mess around with the textures. Like I know, like some stuff that I'm adding with textures, they come in a lot differently in Final Cut than they do here. Like this, I use this on the video and it comes in a lot better when I used it in Final Cut, but when I just added it just now, it didn't come in the way I thought it was, like it did in Final Cut. That's why I don't really understand the textures a little bit with why they don't come in the same way all the times, because I think it's because each program is different and the way they do their things. Like they may have the same features and everything. Like Final Cut and Sony Vegas, they have similar features and everything, except the way they use them, one comes in better than the other. And mostly what I've noticed is that a lot of things come in a lot better in Final Cut than I've seen in Sony Vegas. But there's a few things that I don't like about Final Cut, and like what I don't like well, I'd say what I don't like in Sony Vegas over Final Cut is that Sony Vegas, a lot of times when you're editing, it'll still be lagging. You try to stop the lagging and everything, and then it'll still lag or whatever. See, I don't really see. Like a lot of these, I don't understand why they're not coming into what. I'll try this one first. See what this one does. And then I'll have to mess around with light overlay a little bit. I'd have to, maybe it might be the sharpen amount, because that's really light right there. And I overlaid that hard light. It's like it's not even coming in on some of these textures that I have. Okay, what did I put here? I put an overlay there. And I added it there, okay. And it might be the color of the video on this one too. I'd get rid of the level on this. See what this does. A lot of things that I've done here. Okay, I might even get rid of this too. Just cut this out. This track. Just delete that. Okay, yeah, it was that track that was messing it up a little bit. So I'd go back to here. Okay, go here. I go to overlay. Probably a lot of times I'll overlay these or multiply them. I'd say lighten for now. Okay, what do I have to do here? Let's see what's on the sharpen. Okay, that'll just sharpen that. Sometimes I don't really like the sharpen, so I'll just get rid of that. Brighten. I'd say brighten this a little bit. Go to video effects. Heck, I didn't do anything. Cancel. Go to video effects. Okay, let's see, let's go to gradient map. Let's go to brightness and contrast. Okay, right there. Brighten that a little bit. Or it depends. On the texture that you're using, I'll just put some in the description that work really well. I'll mess around with them a little bit, and then I'll give you some to play around with, just to mess around. Like right now, I don't know why it's so, like this texture. It depends on your video clip's quality as well. That's why the texture comes in the way it does. And like I know this texture, I've even used it in one of my videos that I did in Sony Vegas, and it, I mean not Sony Vegas but Final Cut, and it came in a lot better. But that's pretty much just a little tip that I just showed you, just to mess around with textures a little bit and colors and everything, and that's pretty much it. Comment, rate, subscribe, and check in the description for a link to get some nice textures that actually come in really nice. I'll find some that actually come in really nice. You mess around with the composition mode of them, you mess around with the adding the effects to them, and you could do some changes to them, like I did with this texture right here. I'll put a link to this one. Now I know this one comes in really nice, and I did a little bit of changes to it, and it came in really good. So that's it. Comment, rate, subscribe. See you in my next tutorial. And I'll be doing some Christmas remixes, like I said in my last remix that I did on my channel. And look for my remixes that I've done so far. I've done to The Chemist. I've done a remix to a couple Linkin Park songs. Like one of them I did for their contest that they did for the Catalyst. I did that back in July. And then I did, like I said, the Chemist, and look for other remixes and songs that I've done on my channel. I do those once in a while, in between of the tutorials that I've been doing and stuff. And that's pretty much it. See you later.